All right, so first and foremost, I want to give a shout out to Geek, Eire Podcast 2.0. I will put the link to his Twitter and the podcast in the description because this totally went over my head. And they ended up contacting me and saying, yo, you need to look into this and that. And I did just that. So this came from something that totally went over my head because I don't follow a lot of politics. I could really care less. That's why I don't talk about a lot of politics on my channel. I'm mostly concerned with outrage culture and weirdos who freak out against the stupidest stuff. So I don't pay too much attention to politics. And this went over my head. And this was on the Glassdoor video that I did. By no means just a few disgruntled ex-employees. Pros: if you enjoy passing Rick Santorum in the hallway every so often, you'll probably like it here. Who is Rick Santorum and what is his connection to Funimation? Let's find out. So before we get into Rick, we're going to have to go back in time a little bit. Let's talk about Funimation, Gen Fukunawa, and how this all connects. So back in the 1990s, we all know the story. Dragon Ball was optioned by Funimation, and Saban helped them produce it. They had a falling out. Eventually, they got the rights back, right? Funimation, however, did not have very many anime properties. That came a little bit later as they started to make more money. Dragon Ball was pretty much all they had. And they also did straight to DVD Chuck E. Cheese stuff, like Chuck E. Cheese in the Galaxy 5000. But a lot of people don't remember that. Those of us that had the very early Funimation DVDs, I think Ginyu Assault, or this might even been on the VHS tapes, I'm not too familiar. We'll remember the trailers for those. I personally remember them and thinking, what the hell is this? How do they have this and they have Dragon Ball? But anyway, this doesn't matter. Basically, there was an anime collapse. Gen bought up a crap load of anime, and this is pretty much why Funimation still exists. So when they all folded, ADR, all of them, they pretty much bought the rights to everything and became they're almost a monopoly when it comes to anime now over here in North America. Now, how this connects to Rick is outlined right here on this website that I went to, which, believe me, this is a far left website. However, they do a good job of outlining this right here. So in 2012, Gen used some of his anime money to found a movie company called EchoLight Studios. EchoLight was not Fukunawa's first venture into the movie business. He and his wife had produced the 1999 straight-to-DVD Chuck E. Cheese that I just went over. But it was his first serious attempt to become a force in the movie industry. Not the Hollywood movie industry, though. The Christian movie industry. Now, I want to make one thing clear here. I'm not smashing on Christians. I know I've got a lot of people that are very religious, that are fans of the channel, and I got nothing but love for you. I'm talking about this is the hardcore ones that slam on certain values. And we're going to go over that, okay? So just hang tight. So EchoLight makes movies explicitly designed to present stories of Christian faith and values to a family-friendly audience. In and of itself, that isn't really troubling. Who cares what Fukunawa's personal beliefs are as long as he still delivers us our blatant anime softcore pornography? But in 2014, Fukunawa hired a new CEO to lead EchoLight in its dream of making a more subtly Christian version of the Lords of Dogtown. Former Pennsylvania Senator and presidential candidate Rick Santorum. So that's right. The man who says that homosexual sex is comparable to bestiality, who actively opposes the legalization of gay marriage, who once publicly argued that gay marriage should be illegal because it hurts the economy. The man whose name Dan Savage transformed into a synonym for the residual goop left over after sodomy. He is Fukunawa's employee and business partner. That's right. And nobody talks about it. So the main thing I want to point out here is the hypocrisy of all these Kick Vic people. that'll sit there and throw crap at him and will totally ignore this and this. They'll ignore all of this. But they'll sit there and say, oh, he's a homophobe. But they'll ignore this because they don't want to bite the hands that feed them. Every day, Jamie Marchi takes money somehow from Rick Santorum, from the money that EchoLight helped bring in to Jen's pocket. And you'll ignore that. Why? You're a bunch of hypocrites every day for never talking about this. None of you talked about it. None of you complained about it. And that's what I find funny. In fact, even Anime News Network, the most trusted source of anime news, has only ever talked about it once under Answer Man, Suspicious Behavior. Now, the only time they talked about it even was here. Someone's expressing concerns. What is going on here? Why is this company connected to EchoLight? And they say it's true. EchoLight Studios is a new company with the expressed purpose of trying to produce and market movies for a Christian audience. Jen Fukunaga is indeed one of the founders and served as CEO until that Rick Santorum assumed the position last summer. This did happen only a few months after Fukunaga and other private investors bought Funimation back from Naver, and the company was renamed Group 1200 to diversify the use of the distribution network. Putting all your eggs into one fickle basket of an industry is probably a bad idea after all. It wouldn't surprise me if this move was made with EchoLight in mind. And then this I found pretty interesting because I can't find too much. This is very highly guarded, it seems, because I barely find any information about these kinds of things. But I found it right here. Inside Funimation, I have no doubt the two companies are occasionally sharing resources, even if the two companies are separate on paper when they have the same people running them. There tends to be a lot of commingling at work. Wouldn't you say, Anime News Network, who's never talked about it since? None of the people there have ever tweeted about it since. None of the voice actors have tweeted about it since. That's pretty interesting and quite hypocritical. Of course, Jen is leaving Funimation and staying chairman now that Sony's over there so that he can move over to EchoLight and become their CEO. In fact, he is the CEO now, and Rick has moved over to COO, the Chief Operating Officer. So that's where he's going to be now, and he's going to be doing more of an advisory role. But it's quite funny that he's been able to dodge this the entire time. It really shows you things like Anime News Network and all these shills, how they won't bring any of this up. They don't talk about it. But let's take a look at some of the themes of the movies that they've made. So, looking at some of the movies from this company, I was told there was a lot of themes of anti-LGBT, kind of some racist themes. I had a really good review sent to me here that talks about some of the stuff in here, some Alex Jones type narratives in a lot of these movies. Now, I haven't watched any of them and I don't plan on it. So a good follow-up video, if someone wants to do it, I would recommend watching all of these and pointing out the themes. Remember, Jen is attached to all of these movies, and that's pretty funny. But look at this. So this flick is also racist. All of the reverend priests, it's the black ones that don't go to heaven. And then it says, at the end, it's all a United Nations plot. The Antichrist is the Secretary General of the UN, New World Order and all that. The NWO is the ridiculous scaremongering boogeyman that the conservatives or the right wing have been using as an excuse to not pay for helping truly poor nations via UNESCO, just to make it extra nauseating. And make the frogs gay. So you got to ask yourself, what kind of man is Jen Fukunaga? What kind of man is he, where he would build a business with somebody that's so anti-values of the community that he was seeking to build in his anime industry? Because most people that I've seen that are really into anime are pretty usually accepting and don't seem to hold the kind of vile attitude that this Rick Santorum guy has. And the fact that the people that work in the industry have never said anything about this really kind of blows my mind, because it's really strange. I'm really dumbfounded by this. So not a lot of people have ever talked about this, so I thought this would be fun to point out some hypocrisy of the people that work at Funimation, Anime News Network, and all sorts of other stuff. So please share this video. Let's talk about this. Let's talk about the fact that they're all a bunch of hypocrites. So I'm going to leave you with a little clip that I found of him almost saying the N-word.
We know the candidate Barack Obama, what he was like. The anti-war government, America was a source for division around the world.